The sky above Velinar Prime burned red. Elder Priest Talvesh stood in the temple's observation tower, his thin fingers pressed against the cold glass. Below him, the city that had stood for 10,000 years was dying. Smoke rose from the outer districts. The beautiful crystal spires that his people had built with such care were crumbling under the relentless attack. The Krath had come 3 cycles ago. At first, they were just shadows at the edge of sensor range. Then they were everywhere. Their ships blocked out the sun. Their warriors spread across the colony worlds like a plague. And the Velinar, gentle people who had never known war, had no way to stop them. Talvesh watched another transport ship fall from the sky. He could hear the screams even through the thick walls. His people were dying. Children, elders, artists, teachers, all of them falling before an enemy they could not fight. "Elder, the shields are at 15%, said Mireth, his assistant. Her voice shook with fear. "The council estimates we have 2 days. Maybe 3, 2 days. After 10,000 years of peace, after building a civilization that reached across 6 star systems, they had 2 days left." Talvesh turned from the window. His legs felt weak. The gravity here was already hard for him, 0.8 standard, manageable but tiring. He could not imagine living on a world with full gravity. Yet such worlds existed. The galaxy was full of places that would kill a Velinar in minutes. "Send the message again," he said quietly. "To all known civilizations, please. Someone must help us." Myreth's face showed her doubt, but she bowed and moved to the communications console. They had been sending the message for days now. The responses had been the same each time. The Torvan Empire had responded first. "We sympathize with your situation. However, the Krath swarm is too dangerous. We cannot risk our forces." The Helixian Collective had been more direct. "Your position is not strategically valuable to us. We will not intervene." Even the Quillian Federation, who called themselves peacekeepers, had refused. "Our forces are committed elsewhere. We cannot help you at this time." One by one, every major civilization had turned them away. The Velinar had no military alliances. They had no weapons to trade. They had nothing except their art, their music, their philosophy. And in the face of the Krath, those things meant nothing. Talvesh sat down heavily in his chair. He was 800 years old. He had seen his people reach the stars. He had watched them build wonders. And now he would watch them die. "Elder," Mireth's voice cut through his dark thoughts. "Elder, we have a response." Talvesh stood so quickly he felt dizzy. "Who? The Torvan? Did they change their minds?" "No, Elder, it's someone new." "A species called humans." Mireth looked confused. "I have never heard of them." "Play the message." The holographic display activated. The audio was clear and direct. A voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. Message received. "Humanité en route." Hold position. Help is coming, that was all. No grand promises, no demands for payment. Just those simple words. Talvesh felt something strange in his chest. Hope. After so many days of despair, was this hope? "Research this species," he commanded. "Find everything we can about humans." Mireth worked quickly, her fingers dancing across the console. Minutes passed. Outside, another explosion shook the city. The Krath were getting closer. "Elder, this is strange." "Very strange. What did you find?" Mireth pulled up a star chart. "They come from a system called Sol, 3rd planet from their star, Earth. But Elder, Earth is classified." "Classified? By whom?" "By the Galactic Council. It's marked as a Class 12 death world. Contact is forbidden." The word sent a chill through Talvesh's body. A death world. He knew what that meant. Planets so hostile, so dangerous, that any intelligent life from them would be too savage, too violent for civilized space. The Council kept records of such worlds and warned all members to stay away. "Are you certain?" he asked. "Yes, Elder. Earth has an oxygen content of 21%. That would be toxic to us. Gravity is 1.0 standard. We would be crushed. It has massive oceans that create violent storms, active volcanoes, extreme temperature changes, native predators that..." Mireth paused, reading. "That hunt in packs and have killed millions of humans throughout their evolution." Talvesh felt his hope crumbling. "Then we have called for monsters." "Perhaps," Mireth said slowly. "But Elder, the Krath are monsters, and monsters are already killing us. What do we have to lose?" She was right, of course. What did they have to lose? If humans came and destroyed them, at least it would be quick. The Krath killed slowly with weapons that caused pain beyond imagination. How long until they arrive? Talvesh asked. The message said they are en route. Based on the transmission point, 4 days, maybe 5 days. They had 2, maybe 3 days of shields left. The humans would arrive too late. Send a response, Talvesh said. Tell them we appreciate their willingness to help, but they should know our situation is desperate. We may not survive until their arrival. Mirith sent the message. They waited. An hour passed. The shields dropped to 12%. More buildings fell. More people died. Then another message came through. Understood. We are coming faster. Do not give up. Humanity does not abandon those who call for help. Talvesh read the words 3 times. There was something in them. Something he could not quite understand. A promise, a threat? He did not know. But he felt that strange sensation in his chest again, that small spark of hope. All districts, he announced on the citywide channel. This is Elder Priest Talvesh. Help is coming, hold on. Just hold on a little longer. He did not tell them that help came from a death world. He did not tell them that the rescuers might be as dangerous as their enemy. He simply told them to hold on. Outside the window, the red sky grew darker. The Krath ships moved closer. Their warriors prepared for the final assault. But somewhere in the black void of space, moving faster than any ship the Velinar had ever built, came the humans. The Deathworlders, the unknown saviors. Talvesh pressed his hand against the glass one more time and whispered a prayer to the old gods. Not for salvation, he had given up on that. Just for his people to live long enough to see what happened next. The crystal spires of Velinar Prime stood tall against the burning sky, waiting. Commander Junho stood on the bridge of the ESS Indomitable, watching the viewport as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Velinar Prime hung in space ahead, a blue and green world wrapped in smoke and fire. Even from orbit he could see the devastation. Status report, he said calmly. Krath fleet detected. 37 capital ships, over 200 smaller craft, reported Lieutenant Mina from Tactical. They have the planet surrounded. The Velinar defensive grid is almost gone. Junho nodded slowly. He had read the reports during the journey. The Velinar were a peaceful species. They had no weapons, no warriors, no understanding of combat. They had built a beautiful civilization based on art and thought. And now they were being slaughtered. Open a channel to the surface. Find their leadership. The communications officer worked quickly. Channel open, sir. Patching through. A holographic image appeared. An alien stood before them, tall and thin with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. The creature looked exhausted. This had to be Elder Priest Talvesh. This is Commander Junho of the Earth Space Service. We received your distress call. Talvesh stared at him. Junho could see the surprise on the alien's face. What did he expect? Probably not humans. Probably not someone who looked almost normal. Commander, we are grateful for your response, Talvesh said carefully. But you should know our situation is critical. The Krath will break through our final shields within hours. We have no military forces. We have no weapons. We are defenseless. That's why we're here, Junho replied. He gestured to Mina. Lieutenant, show him the tactical plan. Mina brought up the holographic display. Red dots showed Krath positions. Blue dots showed where human forces would deploy. The plan was direct and brutal. Drop troops directly into combat zones, engage the Krath on the ground, use concentrated firepower to destroy their command ships. Talvesh's eyes grew wider as he watched. Another alien appeared beside him, younger, female perhaps. She looked horrified. Commander, your plan calls for ground deployment in areas with Krath bioweapons, the younger alien said. The atmosphere there is toxic. The temperature extremes range from -40 to +60 degrees. The gravity in some zones is 1.2 standard. Your soldiers cannot survive such conditions. Junho exchanged a glance with Mina. She almost smiled. Counselor, Mina said, and her voice was gentle. Our homeworld has atmospheric conditions that would kill you in minutes. Our gravity is twice what you consider survivable. We evolved alongside creatures that hunted us. We lived through ice ages and heat waves. We fought diseases that killed millions of us. Earth is what we call a death world. Talvesh made a sound like a gasp. You are from Earth? The Forbidden World? Yes, Junho said simply. We are Deathworlders, and this is what we do. Silence filled the communication channel. Junho could see the Velinar struggling to understand. How could he explain? How could he make them see that what terrified them was normal for humans? Look, Junho said, and his voice became softer. I know you're scared. I know you've heard stories about Deathworlds and the species that come from them. But we're not here to harm you. We're here because you asked for help. And when someone asks for help, humans answer. It's that simple. But why? Talvish asked. What do you gain from this? We have no weapons to trade, no military technology. We can offer you nothing of strategic value. Junho thought about how to answer. The truth was complex. Humans had reached the stars only 70 years ago. They had found a galaxy full of peaceful species who looked at them with fear. Earth was quarantined, humans were avoided, and every first contact had been difficult. The Galactic Council kept humanity at arm's length. But when the Velinar distress call came, when Junho heard the desperation in that message, he had not thought about politics or strategy. He had simply thought, people are dying, and we can help. We gain the knowledge that we did the right thing. Junho said finally, that's enough. Talvish was quiet for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. Then we are honored to accept your help, Commander. Tell us what you need from us. Mina stepped forward. We need landing coordinates for your major population centers. We need information about Krath weaknesses if you have any. And we need you to pull your people back from the front lines. When we engage the Krath, it's going to get messy. Messy? The younger alien asked. Violent, Mina clarified. Very violent. We fight differently than you're used to. We don't have shields or energy weapons. We use kinetics, bullets, explosives, blades, and we fight up close. We're persistence hunters. We don't stop until the enemy is defeated. The two Velinar looked at each other. Junho could see their fear, but he could also see something else. Desperation, hope. The willingness to accept help from monsters if it meant survival. We will send you everything we have, Talvish said. And Commander? Thank you. Whatever happens, thank you for coming. The channel closed. Junho turned to his crew. Around the bridge, men and women worked at their stations with calm efficiency. These were Earth's finest, soldiers, pilots, engineers, medics. They had trained for this. Humanity had known that eventually, they would need to prove themselves to the galaxy. This was that moment. All hands, this is the commander, Junho announced on the ship-wide channel. We have a mission. Below us is a civilization that has never known war. They are being destroyed by an enemy they cannot fight. In a few hours, we will show them what humans can do. We will show them that Earth's children are not monsters. We are protectors. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. And remember that every life we save matters. He paused, then added, the Krath think they're apex predators. Let's teach them about the real apex predators. Earth is sending her regards. A cheer went up from the crew. Junho felt a surge of pride. These were his people. Deathworlders, yes, but also heroes. Lieutenant Mina, prepare the fleet for combat deployment. Contact Captain Hyun and tell him to prep his Marines. We drop in 2 hours. Yes, sir, Mina said, and her smile was fierce. Junho looked back at the viewport. Velinar Prime turned slowly in space, beautiful and dying. The Krath ships moved in orbit like sharks circling prey. But the sharks had never met something higher on the food chain. They had never met humans. The Indomitable's engines flared bright. Weapon systems came online. Dropships began launching from the hangar bays. Earth's fleet moved into formation. And for the first time in their history, the Velinar saw something that made them feel both terrified and safe at the same time. They saw humanity go to war. The drop pod hit the ground hard. Captain Hyun felt the impact through his entire body, but he was already moving before the door blew open. Behind him, his squad followed. Corporal Day, Private Woojin, and Private Yuna. They moved like one organism, weapons ready, eyes scanning for threats. The air was thick and hot. Hyun's suit sensors showed 58 degrees and climbing. Humidity at 90%. To the Velinar, this would be hell. To humans, just another day. Contact 3 o'clock, Day called out. Hyun saw them. Krath warriors, 6 of them, moving through the ruined buildings. They were insect-like creatures, all black chitin and sharp limbs. Each one was twice the size of a human. Their mandibles clicked as they communicated. The Krath saw the humans and charged. That was their first mistake. Hyun's rifle spoke first, 3 controlled bursts. The lead Krath took the rounds in its center mass and went down hard. Beside him, Yuna and Woojin opened fire. The sound was deafening in the narrow street. Bullets tore through chitin and flesh. The Krath tried to reach them, tried to use their superior size and those deadly claws. They never made it. In 15 seconds, all 6 Krath were dead or dying. Hyun checked his squad. Nobody was even breathing hard. "Command, this is Alpha Team," Hyun reported. "Contact eliminated. No friendly casualties. Moving to primary objective." From orbit, Lieutenant Mina's voice came through. "Copy, Alpha Team. Be advised, Velinar observers are watching your feeds. Try not to scare them too badly." Hyun almost laughed. Too late for that. The Velinar had probably never seen combat before. And human combat was not gentle. They moved deeper into the city. Around them, buildings lay in ruins. The Krath had destroyed so much. But they had also left behind something: survivors. Velinar civilians huddled in basements and shelters, trapped by the enemy forces. "There," Woojin said, pointing to a collapsed structure. "Thermal readings. Multiple signatures alive." They approached carefully. Hyun could hear sounds from inside, crying, soft voices. He knelt by a gap in the rubble. "Hello? We are humans. We are here to help." "Is anyone hurt?" Silence. Then a thin voice. "You are the Deathworlders?" "Yes, can you move?" "We need to get you to safety." More silence. Then, "We are afraid." Hyun understood. These people had been told their whole lives that Deathworlders were monsters. And now monsters were offering to save them. "I know," Hyun said gently. "But I promise you we are not here to hurt you. Please, let us help." Slowly, carefully, the Velinar began to emerge. There were 12 of them, adults and children. They looked at the humans with huge, frightened eyes. Yuna lowered her weapon and offered her hand to a child. The small Velinar stared at her hand like it might bite. Then the child reached out and took it. "See?" Yuna said, smiling. "We are not so scary." An alarm went off in Hyun's helmet. "Contact incoming." Lots of them. 20, maybe 30 Krath, everyone, defensive positions now. The squad moved instantly. They formed a circle around the Velinar civilians. Weapons pointed outward. The Krath came fast, pouring through the streets like a black wave. What happened next would later be studied by military academies across human space. The Krath attacked with their standard tactics. Overwhelming numbers, paralytic toxins, pure aggression. Against the Velinar, these tactics had been devastating. Against humans, they failed completely. Day took a toxin dart to the shoulder. The poison would have killed a Velinar in seconds. Day stumbled, cursed loudly, and injected a counteragent from his medical kit. Then he kept firing. The Krath could not understand it. Their weapons did not work. Woojin's rifle ran empty. Instead of retreating, he drew his combat knife and charged. The nearest Krath was twice his size. It did not matter. Woojin was faster, stronger than it expected. He drove the blade through a gap in its chitin and twisted. The Krath died screaming. Yuna fought with cold precision. Every shot counted. Every movement was calculated. She had been trained on Earth, in environments that made this combat zone look comfortable. Heat? She had trained in deserts. Humidity? She had trained in jungles. The Krath were dangerous, but Earth had prepared her for worse. And Hyun fought like all humans fought when protecting others. With everything he had, his rifle clicked empty. He switched to his sidearm. That ran dry. He picked up a piece of broken metal from the rubble and used it as a club. A Krath warrior grabbed him, its claws digging into his armor. Hyun headbutted it. The creature's carapace cracked. It let go. Hyun did not. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it ended, 31 Krath lay dead. The 4 humans stood among the bodies, breathing hard but still standing. Around them, the Velinar civilians stared in complete shock. From orbit, Mina's voice was quiet. "Alpha Team, the Velinar just watched your entire engagement. They are asking questions I do not know how to answer." "Like what?" Hyun asked, checking his ammunition. "Like how you are still alive. Like how you kept fighting after being poisoned. Like how you did not run when outnumbered 7-1. Hyun looked at his squad. Day was bandaging his shoulder where the dart had hit. Woojin was cleaning his knife. Yuna was reloading her rifle with practiced ease. They looked tired. But they did not look defeated. "Tell them," Hyun said, "that this is what evolution on Earth means. We did not become the dominant species by being weak. We became dominant by being too stubborn to die." They escorted the civilians to a safe zone. More drop pods were landing across the city. Human forces were spreading out, engaging Krath positions, rescuing survivors. The tide of battle was turning. In the command center, Elder Priest Talvesh watched the tactical displays with growing amazement. Everywhere humans deployed, the Krath fell back. It was not just superior weapons. The Velinar had energy weapons that were technically more advanced. It was something else. Something in the way humans fought. They do not stop, Mireth whispered beside him. Even when hurt. Even when outnumbered. They just keep fighting. Talvesh nodded slowly. He was beginning to understand what Commander Junho had meant. Deathworlders were not monsters. They were survivors. And survival on a world like Earth required something the Velinar had never needed. It required refusing to give up. Ever. On the ground, Hyun's squad moved to their next objective. There were more civilians to save, more Krath to fight, more work to do. But as Hyun looked at his people, he felt something warm in his chest. Pride. This was humanity's moment. This was when they showed the galaxy what Earth's children could do. Not conquer, not destroy, but protect, save, fight for those who could not fight for themselves. Alpha team, moving out, Hyun reported. Let's finish this. They moved into the smoke and fire, 4 Deathworlders walking through hell like it was home. Because in a way it was. Earth had prepared them for worse. And nothing in the galaxy would stop them from completing their mission. Behind them, the Velinar civilians huddled together. For the first time in days, they felt something they thought they had lost. They felt safe. Dr. Nari wiped sweat from her forehead and looked at the small Velinar child on the medical table. The girl's name was Selith, and she was dying from a wound that would be minor for a human, a deep cut on her leg, bleeding slowly but steadily. For a Velinar, it was a death sentence. Her blood does not clot like ours, Nari explained to the Velinar doctor standing beside her, and I cannot use standard coagulants. They are too aggressive for her system. They would cause organ failure. The Velinar doctor, his name was Corval, nodded sadly. We have tried everything we know. Her body is shutting down. In our people, wounds like this are fatal if not treated within the first hour. It has been 3 hours. Then we try something new, Nari said firmly. She had been a trauma surgeon in Seoul before joining the space service. She had saved countless lives. But this was different. The Velinar were so fragile. Their bodies were designed for a gentle world with low gravity and mild temperatures. Compared to humans, they were made of glass. But glass could be repaired if you were careful enough. Nari worked for 2 hours straight. She used techniques developed for premature infants. She diluted medications to 1/10 their normal strength. She monitored every heartbeat, every breath, and slowly, impossibly, Selith stabilized. When the girl's eyes opened, Corval made a sound like a sob. You saved her, he whispered. How? Stubbornness, Nari said with a tired smile. We humans do not give up easily. She left Corval with his patient and walked through the field hospital. It was packed with Velinar refugees. Some were injured. Others were just terrified, displaced by the fighting. Human medics moved among them, offering help where they could. Nari saw Private Yuna sitting with a group of Velinar children, showing them pictures of Earth on her datapad. The children looked scared but curious. One of them asked a question in their musical language. Yuna smiled and responded. She had been learning Velinar during the journey here. Basic phrases, simple words. The effort meant everything to these people. Outside the hospital, Engineer Taeyang worked with Velinar scientists in a makeshift workshop. They were trying to restore power to a damaged district. The Velinar technology was impressive. Clean energy, elegant designs, systems that ran on quantum principles humans were still figuring out. But it had one major flaw. Your entire infrastructure has no redundancy, Taeyang explained to the lead scientist. When one system fails, everything connected to it fails. It is efficient but not resilient. The Velinar scientist looked embarrassed. We never needed resilience. Our systems never failed. There were no disasters, no wars. Nothing to prepare for. Taeyang nodded, understanding. You built for peace. We built for survival. Neither is wrong. They are just different. They work together, combining Velinar elegance with human durability. The hybrid system that emerged was stronger than either could have built alone. Back in the command center, Commander Junho studied the tactical maps with Elder Priest Talvesh. The battle was going well. Human forces had pushed the Krath back from 3 major cities. The Velinar defensive grid was being restored. Victory was close, but it came at a cost. "Commander," Lieutenant Mina said quietly, "report from the Northern Front. Sergeant Kang's unit encountered heavy resistance. They completed their objective, but—" She paused. Sergeant Kang did not survive. Neither did Privates Inho and Sujin. The command center went quiet. Unyo closed his eyes for a moment. 3 dead. 3 humans who had traveled across the galaxy to help strangers and would never go home. Talvesh watched Junho's face. He saw something there that surprised him. Not anger, not cold calculation, but grief. Deep, genuine grief. Sergeant Kang was a good soldier, Junho said softly. He had a family, a wife and 2 sons. Inho was 22 years old. He wanted to be a teacher when his service ended. Sujin loved music. She could play 6 instruments. You knew them personally? Talvesh asked. I know everyone under my command, Junho replied. Every name, every face, every story. When you are responsible for people's lives, you owe them that much. Talvesh was quiet for a moment. Then, how do you do it? How do you send people to die? Junho looked at him directly. I do not send them to die. I send them to fight. To protect. To save lives. Sometimes they do not come back. But they go knowing why they fight. They go because they believe in something bigger than themselves. What do they believe in? That life matters. That the strong should protect the weak. That when someone calls for help, you answer. Junho gestured to the maps. Your people are alive because my people believe these things. Some of them died for those beliefs. And if you ask them, if they could speak now, they would say it was worth it. Talvesh felt something break inside him. Humans were not monsters. They were heroes. Flawed, violent, dangerous heroes. But heroes nonetheless. That night, the human forces held a memorial service. The Velinar were invited to attend. Thousands came, wanting to understand these strange Deathworlders who had saved them. Captain Hyun stood before the gathered crowd, humans and Velinar together. He spoke about Sergeant Kang, about Inho, about Sujin. He told their stories. He celebrated their lives, and then he said something that would be remembered for generations. We came from a world that tried to kill us every day. We evolved in violence and struggle and constant danger. And yes, that made us strong, but it also taught us something else. It taught us the value of life. We know how precious it is because we fought so hard to keep it. We know what it means to lose people we love. So when we heard that you were dying, when we heard your plea for help, we did not hesitate, because we understand what it means to face extinction, and we swore long ago that we would never let it happen to others if we had the power to stop it. He paused, looking at the gathered faces, human and alien. Sergeant Kang, Private Inho, Private Sujin, they died so that you could live. Remember them, honor them, and know that humanity will always answer when you call. The Velinar wept. Many of them had never seen death before this war. Now they had seen too much. But they had also seen something else. They had seen sacrifice. They had seen courage. They had seen what it meant to be human. Dr. Nari stood in the crowd watching. She thought about Selith, the little girl she had saved. She thought about all the Velinar in her hospital, healing slowly but surely. She thought about the cost of this victory. 3 dead, 27 wounded, resources depleted. But she also thought about the thousands of lives saved. The civilization preserved. The future secured. Earth had sent its children to war. Some had fallen. But humanity had proven something to the galaxy. They were not monsters from a forbidden world. They were protectors, guardians, friends. The memorial ended. The humans returned to their duties. The war was not over yet. But everyone, human and Velinar alike, knew the end was near, and when it came, they would face it together. The last Krath command ship exploded in orbit. From the surface of Velinar Prime, millions watched as the fireball lit up the night sky. Then, for the first time in weeks, there was silence. No sirens, no explosions, no screams. The war was over. Elder Priest Talvesh stood in the rebuilt temple tower, looking out over his city. Smoke still rose from damaged buildings. Scars marked the landscape. But his people were alive. Children played in the streets again. Artists returned to their studios. Teachers opened their schools, all because of humans. Behind him, the door opened. Commander Junho entered, with Ambassador Bora beside him. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had arrived 2 days ago to begin diplomatic talks. Talvesh bowed deeply to them both. Commander, Ambassador. Welcome. Elder Priest, Bora said warmly. We have received word from your council. They wish to begin formal discussions about the future. Talvesh nodded. Yes, we have much to discuss, and much to offer you in thanks. They sat in comfortable chairs around a low table. A Velinar servant brought refreshments, crystallized fruits, and a sweet drink that humans found surprisingly pleasant. Bora took a sip and smiled. Elder Priest, your council has sent us a very generous proposal, she began. They offer technology transfers, access to your trading networks, rights to establish a permanent human presence in your space, and even a territory of 3 star systems for human colonization. Yes, Talvesh said eagerly. It is the least we can do. You saved us. 30 billion Velinar live because of you. We owe you everything. Bora was quiet for a moment. Then she shook her head gently. We appreciate the offer, but we must decline most of it. Talvesh looked shocked. Decline? But why? These are valuable assets. Any other species would demand much more for what you have done. We are not any other species, Junho said simply. Bora leaned forward. Let me explain what we want, Elder Priest. We want friendship. We want alliance. We want to be partners with the Velinar, not masters. And we want you to remember something important. What is that? You called us Deathworlders. You looked at our planet's classification and assumed we were monsters. And yes, we are dangerous. We evolved in violence. We know how to kill. We are very good at it, as the Krath learned. Bora's voice was soft but firm. But that same struggle taught us other things. It taught us compassion. It taught us the value of life. It taught us that strength without purpose is just cruelty. She gestured to the window, to the city beyond. You prayed for help and humanity answered. Not because we wanted your resources, not because we saw strategic value, but because you were dying and we had the power to stop it. That is what Deathworlders do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Talvesh felt tears forming in his eyes. Then what do you want from us? Your friendship, Bora said. Your voice in the Galactic Council. For 70 years, Earth has been isolated. We have been feared and avoided. The galaxy sees us as dangerous outsiders. But you have seen what we really are. You know that we can be trusted. We want you to tell the galaxy that. And we want to learn from you. Junho added. Your technology is elegant. Your art is beautiful. Your philosophy is profound. We are strong, yes, but you are wise. Together we can be something neither of us could be alone. Talvesh understood then. Humans did not want to conquer. They wanted to belong. They wanted to be accepted. After all they had done, after all they had sacrificed, they simply wanted friendship. Then you shall have it, Talvesh said firmly. The Velinar Council will propose your admission to the Galactic Council. We will sponsor you. We will vouch for you. And we will tell every species in known space that humanity saved us when no one else would. Bora smiled. Thank you, Elder Priest. That means more than you know. The formal ceremony happened 3 days later. The Velinar Council gathered in their grand assembly hall. Every major species sent representatives. Even the Torvan Empire and the Quillian Federation, who had refused to help, attended. Talvesh stood before the assembly and spoke. For 10,000 years we believed that intelligence meant transcending violence. We built a civilization of peace, of art, of thought. We believed that was the highest achievement any species could reach. He paused. We were wrong. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Intelligence does not mean transcending violence. It means knowing when to use it, and for what purpose. The humans, the Deathworlders from Earth, they understand this. They are warriors, yes. They are dangerous, yes. But they are also protectors. When we called for help and everyone else turned away, humanity came. They fought for us. They bled for us. Some of them died for us. He looked directly at the gathered ambassadors. I stand before you today to propose something unprecedented. I propose that Earth be admitted to the Galactic Council. I propose that the quarantine on their world be lifted. I propose that humanity be welcomed as full members of our galactic civilization. Not despite their nature, but because of it. Because we need people who will answer when others call for help. The vote was not unanimous. Some species still feared humans, some resented Earth's rapid rise, but the Velinar had influence, and their testimony carried weight. The resolution passed. For the first time in recorded history, a species from a Class 12 Deathworld was welcomed among the stars. On the day of Earth's admission, Commander Junho returned to the Indomitable. His crew gathered on the bridge to watch the ceremony via holographic feed. When the vote was announced, when the representative from Earth was formally welcomed to the council chamber, the crew cheered. Private Yuna stood beside Corporal Day at the observation window. Below them, Velinar Prime turned slowly in space. The planet was healing. The scars were fading. Life was returning to normal. Do you think they really understand us now? Yuna asked quietly. Day shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. But they know one thing for certain. What's that? That when they pray for help, humanity will answer, every single time. Yuna smiled at that. It was true. Earth had taught its children to be strong, but it had also taught them to be kind, to protect the weak, to fight for what was right. Those lessons were written into humanity's very DNA, carved there by millions of years of struggle. The Indomitable's engines came to life. The human fleet prepared to depart. They had other places to be, other people who might need help. But they left behind something valuable: hope, proof that the strong could be good, that power could be used for protection instead of conquest. In the temple tower, Talvesh watched the human ships rise into orbit. He raised his hand in farewell, though he knew they could not see him. Beside him, young Selith stood, the child Dr. Nari had saved. She was fully healed now, running and playing like any healthy child. Will they come back? Selith asked. Yes, Talvesh said with certainty. If we need them, they will come back. That is what humans do. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel. One moment they were there, bright dots against the black sky. The next moment they were gone, but their impact remained. The Velinar would never forget. The galaxy would never forget. Earth had announced itself not with conquest, but with compassion, not with threats, but with sacrifice. The Deathworlders had shown the universe what they were really made of. Strength, yes. Violence, yes. But also courage, honor, and an unbreakable commitment to protect those who could not protect themselves. Ambassador Bora remained behind to establish Earth's first embassy on Velinar Prime. As she watched the fleet depart, she thought about humanity's long journey. From caves to cities, from Earth to the stars, from isolation to acceptance. It had been hard. It had been bloody. Many had died along the way. But they had proven something that would echo through the ages. That Deathworlders were not monsters. They were guardians, and the galaxy was safer because of them. High above the planet, the last human ship vanished into the infinite dark. But its message remained, burning bright in the hearts of every being who had witnessed what humanity could do. When you pray for help, the Deathworlders will answer always.